Hey guys, wow, I feel like this background is so pale. Hmm. How you doing? I'm trying to get back into the spirit of YouTube or videos or whatever it is we can call it. So, hello, how are ya? Oh. Um, I'm really trying to get back into the vibe of creating content and making videos because I miss it. I really do, but it's an energy thing. I've had some super rough days and some super good days, and I just need to get to a place of balance, and then I'm able to say, okay, let me create content. So here I am. I'm having a good moment. So I figured, let me try and take this opportunity to do a 5 things on my mind video, very reflective. I've been wanting to do this for quite a while. And then, it's right in the crux of my book signings, which are going to be happening around the time this video comes out. I don't know, I'm in a pretty good space right now. There's been some pretty tough seasons, but this is a good moment. I don't know who's talking, but Huru's about to come from school. So let me tell you something. Oh, okay, let me just let folks know that I'm trying to record a video, but I'll try and be as fast as I can, okay? So the first thing on my mind, which I kind of alluded to in a previous post, is the state of affairs in Kenya. There seems to just be a buildup of frustration and anxiety, and I know it sounds like a broken record, but the truth is it's been there for a long time. I just feel like right now we're in the heart of this combination of extreme frustration, extreme injustices, and then a really loud clarion call for action against those, if I'm making sense. And just like you, I'm sure, I carry this weight, the weight of the state of affairs in the country, because you want to thrive, you want to do great things, you want to create impact, you want to create legacy, and it just feels like there's so many bottlenecks and blatant attempts at frustrating citizens. And so whether it's the cabinet reshuffle, the education crisis, expired pads, Kasarani riots, Babu Owino having the audacity to gun tote and injure somebody, he'll probably get away with it because accountability just seems to be missing in this country. Whether it's all these things, you just watch these play out and you think to yourself, at what point are we going to be able to collectively ask for better, collectively demand? But more importantly, at what point is leadership, until the day they start acting as such, this is how I'll do it, at what point are they going to say, okay, now we don't have a choice, we have to listen? And after King Kaka's song Wajinga Nyinyi came out in December of 2019, what every Kenyan was talking about was a revolution. But it kind of feels like we are already within the revolution, and I just feel like he echoed that revolution, if that makes sense. I think the song was triggered by a revolution. Maybe there's different forms and ways that a revolution takes. Sometimes it's in your face, and it requires a country to bleed and to go on its knees, and no one wants that for their country. And sometimes a revolution is where I think we're at, which is we're no longer going to be apologetic about our demands for more. And so we have social media, which may not always be verifiable, but if you can figure out what's real and what's not, you get the sense that Kenyans have been frustrated for a while. The flip side is is our resilience, but it's been taken advantage of. Our resilience as Kenyans is taken advantage of. We see something happen, and in any other country, they'd be on the streets, they'd be up in arms. But for us, you see something happen and life goes on, and leadership has kind of taken that as, oh, they'll make noise about it and then they'll get over it. So it's taught leadership that Kenyans can take it. We are getting to a wall though. We're getting to a wall. We're getting to a place of no return. I feel it, I sense it. Nobody wants their country to have to turn inside out for us to get to that wall that allows us to cross towards justice. But the vigilance, being vocal, educating ourselves, smaller actions, and using our social political powers as citizens, that can actually create the push towards the wall that then allows us to say we're where we want to be. And I think actually the cabinet reshuffle was a reflection of that, was that vigilance and people being vocal enough to say, this is ridiculous, we're not going to have such people in cabinet positions if they can barely articulate issues. We need more. And I think maybe somewhere there, the president heard those calls and said, right, let's switch things up. So this is the longer 5 things on my mind. I think the others will be a bit shorter because this one has really, really weighed on me. I mean, giving expired sanitary pads to girls who really need them. And those are 300,000 packets and 300,000 possibilities of infections. This is so many things that happen and you think to yourself, what are you doing? What are we doing? Where are we? What's happening? This is not okay. It's not okay. And I think about my sons and I think about the fact that their generation just needs to be, it's going to be 2 things. Either they're going to reap the results of us being able to get to the wall pushover and create the society we want, or we're going to have to teach our children to be as vocal, as vigilant, but like times 10 in order to push the wall. The state of affairs in Kenya weigh on my mind, but I know we can do something. We are doing it. We're speaking out, which is great because silence is privilege. So let's keep speaking. Let's keep pushing to the wall. Let's keep using our collective voices. Some are really loud, some are really soft, but they're voices. Let's not shove how people should be vocalizing issues down their throats. Everybody has their own method. Let's just make sure we're kind of collectively saying the same thing if we can. The other thing on my mind is also a little bit complex, and that's the US-Iran situation. And I know this came up a couple of weeks back, and I think I've been sitting back and internalizing and watching a lot of these things play out. And it's such a complex scenario, if I can say that. But this is more in terms of the broader issues concerning the Middle East and social, cultural, political issues that have been there for like more than 70 years or so. It's more of that vis-a-vis a global issue. But here's the thing, all these World War III fears, etc. I think the Middle East question has drawn us back to the importance of global security and the role of leadership and the butterfly effect. Because we need to be looking at, as a country, are we backing the right politics? Are we backing issues that are part of our values? These issues may seem remote, but they kind of come back to affect us in some way. And I think that's the butterfly effect about things that are happening so far out that seem complex and male-dominated and patriarchal and annoying and complex, and sometimes you don't want to get too close to it. But being in Kenya does not remove us necessarily from some of these issues that have a global impact. So I think that's kind of been my take home and reflection about the US-Iran war. I think it's up to us to kind of take a closer look around us and have these conversations with each other, and also again hold leadership accountable about what politics are you backing so that we are also able to be protected. The other thing on my mind is mental health. There was a story of a young man that jumped to his death at AdLife Plaza. There was a video of him. I don't know how or why that story didn't get as much. Maybe I missed it. I'm so sorry if I did, but I don't feel like it got as much of a conversation that I thought it would, because that was haunting and heartbreaking and nerve-wracking on so many levels. We have all these things, and if you notice, the 3 issues I've mentioned so far, they're interlinked. When there's instability and when things are destabilized and society isn't sitting on a foundation that's solid, it's on a shaky foundation, it really affects us all. From what I understand, he had a debt with regards to gambling and he didn't see any way out. I think by the time this video comes out, I should have been able to learn a little bit more, but he's an example of so many others, whether it's because of debt, whether it's because of unemployment, whether it's because of relationships gone sour, whether it's their family, whether it's the energy around us. People are being driven to an extent where they don't feel the need to live. And my whole thing is, are we listening enough to each other? It's become a society that's about, if you have a problem, I'm really sorry, but I also have really big problems of my own. And I know it's tough though, right? Because if you're somebody who's working, if you happen to be somebody who's a parent or who's the breadwinner in their family, whether it's your family that has your siblings and parents or your family that has your children, if you're somebody who's been struggling to get a job for so long, if you're knee deep in your I have a feeling that's going to be censored by Roy, but if you're knee deep in your own ish, then sometimes you don't have the energy to take on anymore. But I think that's what that's doing, is we're isolating each other so much that even the burdens become compounded because of the isolation. One of my dreams, I think, would be to create safe spaces everywhere where conversations can happen online, because conversations online usually take a very toxic turn, even when somebody's just trying to reach out for information or help. Sometimes it's great, the feedback, but sometimes it's really toxic. Safe spaces just where people can get together and talk and share. And if you know of any, please link them down below. I think I've heard somebody, I'm trying to remember who told me that they come together to share their issues in terms of the state of their mental health. If you know about such a forum, let me know. But let's be vigilant, right? Let's be each other's keeper. Let's try and spare space within our already complex lives. We can create a little bit of space and room to say, I'm here for you, or I'm here to listen. I don't know if I can help, but I'm here to listen. And please also comment down below any resources or resource centers that offer psychosocial support, and let's spread those around. So that's the third thing on my mind. Mental health is pretty close to me. When I was doing a show on TV a few months ago, I interviewed my older brother who had previously struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts, and so it's not far removed from something that I recognize. I think I definitely have issues with anxiety in my own way, but and again, every time people say these things, somebody says, oh, you're trivializing it. What's anxiety compared to somebody who tried to take their life? But we can't minimize one mental health issue against another. I think that's also another issue. I said it once before when I talked about trauma, and I'll try and insert that line here. Fair enough, people go through worse, but you're also going through your struggle, and you shouldn't underestimate that. When I attended Alabastra a few years ago, one of the facilitators said the pain of a broken finger is the same as the pain of a broken arm, meaning even though your pain is considered small compared to other people's pain, which is considered big, it's still pain. So you have to acknowledge that and deal with it. There we go. The pain of a broken finger and the pain of a broken arm, it's the same pain. So that's been on my mind. Let's comment down below and try and create resources for people to get help. The fourth thing on my mind, don't judge me, is Megxit. Meghan Markle and Harry exiting. But you know why? It's a bigger issue for me, and sometimes I like the way we're just invited to conversations that you feel like, why must I listen to what's happening to the royal family? How is it my business? But again, what I took from it, and there's so many theories around it, there's so many opinions and sentiments around that, but what I saw, what I recognized, or what I took from it is just how unapologetically racist the British press have been. You compare the headlines of when Kate did something and Meghan did something, and it's so blatant. And I'm like, these editors have a lot of nerve. And why are these editors still in newsrooms and editorials? The same ones who talked about Africa being a hotbed of terrorism, the same ones that talked and showed our loved ones lifeless during the Dusit attack, the same ones who said, we're looking for a reporter for Africa, ooh, make sure you're ready for a war zone. Why do they still hold jobs? That's what I don't get. It's so stupid. How are you encouraging that narrative now? And so when I saw those headlines comparing the two princesses, it's probably not accurate, I thought, who approved this, and why is that fair? How is that fair that a woman of color has to wake up and read about how she's problematic and how she holds her bump all the time, and when she does it, it's problematic, but when her peer does it, it's, oh, she's coddling her growing life in her. And so for me, I was very triggered as a woman of color. I really was. And I hope, I don't know whether this is petty or not. I don't know whether you guys feel me or not, but that's what I took from it. And you know what? They made a good decision, because the British monarchy could have done more to tell the press, how dare you speak about our daughter like that, but they didn't do that. They had an opportunity. They had it once with Princess Diana to protect her, but they didn't. And I guess, sometimes it's all about protecting the legacy, whether it's a royal family, whether it's a company, whether it's a family, any other powerful family. But at the end of the day, if that isn't disrupted, then the toxicity becomes generational. So yes, there's all kinds of theories about how she's this and she's troublesome and she's wanted her fairy tale wedding and now she has it and now she's done. I'm like, no, I think this is a woman who said, you know what, enough is enough. If you can't stand up for myself, my husband and my son, my baby, then I don't really need to be a part of this. So let me remove myself. So you know what, kudos to her. And so that's my take on Megxit. I've even unfollowed those Sussex Royal Buckingham Palace handles. I really petty, yes, but I unfollowed them because I'm like, you supported this because you were quiet, and silence is either enabling or it's a privilege. So no. So that's been on my mind. I don't know why, but it just has. The fourth and final thing on my mind is the Spread Pod. The Spread Pod is a podcast by Kaz or Karen Lucas, and it really talks about healthy sexuality and different elements of it. And it's always been very bold, and it's a pioneer podcast on its own, I think. And you know, it's, for some people, it's not their cup of tea. For me, as a grown woman, I think those are important conversations as well. Conversations that should be allowed to be had because it's grown folks talking about grown business and in a healthy, safe space. And so Kaz interviewed me last year and she asked me a little bit about my journey. It was really about my book, but there was also elements about my childhood, and I shared things with her that I actually haven't shared with anyone before. And then I realized, Kaz, you're really good at getting people to be vulnerable. That is a superpower. And so it's made me realize that I want to be on a journey towards vulnerability. I'm not really good at letting my guard down. I'm not really good at talking about how I feel or showing sadness or showing anger or remorse. I think I've grown up as the kind of person who, you know, toughen up. And it's not that my family has even been that way. I think my family is very good at talking about creating a safe space to be open about how you feel and what you want to say. But for some reason, there's a part of me that's been all about showing a tough exterior and not crying in public. And so you know what it's inspired me to do, and call this crazy, I kind of want to document something that talks about my journey towards vulnerability. Give me ideas, guys. Is it a podcast? Is it a docuseries? Docuseries is a bit much. Is it a blog? I don't know. I want to get there. I want to get to a place where, because vulnerability is very healthy. Read any Brene Brown book. That's what she'll tell you. Read anything. Read Oprah, Chimamanda. Look at how African storytellers are digging into vulnerability as well. That's what I did with my book, My First Time. People opened up, people got vulnerable, and I just want more. I really, really want to get to the heart of vulnerability. My children bring me, almost bring me close to God. I don't know if I've segued. I just feel like with Huru and Mali, I'm able to be as in touch with my spirituality as I possibly could, because there are these lovely angels that I've been given the responsibility to look after. And I want them to have a healthy vulnerability as young men. I want them to be able to articulate how they're feeling when they're feeling in a safe space. And so I kind of want to lead by example. So that's like the fifth thing on my mind. I'm going to leave the link for the Spread Podcast interview below here so that you guys can take a listen. I loved doing the interview, so thank you, Kaz. And yeah, I kind of want to be on a different tangent. I will talk about in another video some of the plans I have for the year. I have the book out, which I've talked about in the last 2 videos, and I'm so excited. Thank you guys. Keep buying it. There's book signings coming up, like I said, and the next video should be about that as well. And I just have a lot I want to share with you. So I need to encourage myself to be in the moment, in the zone, in a healthy space, to be able to create good content, I think, for you all, because I feel like I'm in a pretty good space right now. Tomorrow might bear something different. I'm getting a phone call, so I have to go. So thank you, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys.